Permaculture and Water by Adam Guy. Joseph Russell Smith wrote Tree Crops, Permanent Agriculture in 1929, which eventually became the forefather of the permaculture movement, inspiring numerous other agriculturalists to move toward more sustainable practices. Water for Every Farm was written by P. A. Yeomans in 1964 and was focused upon observation-based land use and managing the supply and distribution of water through a methodology termed the keyline design. Bill Mollison, the father of permaculture, and David Holmgren began producing ideas based around continual agriculture practices in the 1960s. Mollison and Holmgren were concerned with the increasingly negative effects of industrial agricultural practices in Australia, such as reducing biodiversity and removing loads of fertile topsoils from numerous landscapes. Permaculture 1 was their first public response to these mounting pressures in 1978, detailing their design approach to agriculture they called permaculture. Within a few years, permaculture was expanded to include working toward sustainable human habitats. Further work developing their concept and designing various sites led to Permaculture, a Designer's Manual. Mollison continued to teach the practices of permaculture and put an emphasis upon having his students continue to teach the topic as well, which helped spread the concept around the world relatively quickly. Permaculture, as we all know, is based around three main goals: care for the earth, care for the people, and return of surplus. The resulting combination values equally the vital aspects of the environment, the needs of human populations, as well as taking only what is needed from the world and reallocating extra resources appropriately. Designing of ecosystems, landscapes, and human structures is based around the 12 core design principles, each of which is as valuable as the next. When planning any scale of permaculture project, accounting for and utilizing rainwater, as well as groundwater or stored water sources, depending on the site in question, is an incredibly valuable aspect of the plan. Rainwater harvesting is defined as the accumulating and storing of rainwater for reuse before it reaches the aquifer. Rainwater has numerous uses for human consumption, including but not limited to drinking water, water for livestock and irrigation, and washing activities. Roof water collection is the most widely used form of rainwater harvesting for residential and commercial buildings alike. Water collected from the ground is also a growing practice, which is called stormwater harvesting. A term that is often heard in regards to water resources is greywater. Greywater is simply wastewater generated from domestic activities such as dishwashing, laundry, and showering. Although greywater is not potable drinking water without prior filtration, it may be used for landscape irrigation, among many other uses. Greywater is not in toilets. Toilet waters are considered sewage or black waters to emphasize that it contains human wastes. Reusing black waters is more complicated and difficult than greywater due to the hazardous nature of wastewaters, but success has been found using these waters in a type of composting known as humanure. Humanure can be a complex system, but needs only to involve the sanitary containment system, usually with organic materials such as sawdust or wood pulp, to help facilitate the composting of wastes over time, as well as a garden or area to use the fertilizer once produced. Rainwater harvesting systems have come in all shapes and sizes over the years, often becoming more complex in order to better store water safely for longer periods of time. Systems now include specified downspout sizes that increase in price much more rapidly than in size, depending upon the amount of roof in question. This only emphasizes the amount of planning needed for each permaculture project. Types of systems available are simple tanks, filtration tanks, roof cleaning collection, rooftop collection for gravity-based distribution, and stormwater collection systems. All systems are scalable depending on the size of the structure or structures involved. Examples of each system can be seen here. Water harvesting techniques include a multitude of iterations in such areas as rooftop harvesting, runoff harvesting, floodwater harvesting, runoff farming, floodwater farming, and more. Uses of these collected waters can include soil storage, deep ponding storage, water supply, and plant production as seen here. Rainwater harvesting with rain barrels is one of the most basic forms of collection and harvesting. Gutter systems simply transfer rains to the barrel placed beneath them. The size of the gutter and downspout should be planned out before installation, but are typically 5-inch gutters and 3-inch downspouts for residential buildings. Placing the barrel as near to the designated usage of the stored water, such as garden in the backyard, maximizes ease of use. Residential rooftop harvesting, shown here, is utilizing an underground storage container. This system incorporates a header tank in the eaves of its attic to provide gravity-based distribution of stored waters to various water use areas of the house. The submerged pump in the basement, from connecting the below-ground filtered tank waters to the header tank, requires energy input and piping construction within the building, but allows for an efficient distribution and usage of stored harvested waters throughout the residence. This system also connected the header tank to the main water system to maintain water levels during seasons of drought. Groundwater storage systems are increasingly seen constructed and usage in many areas. Utilizing tracts of land as a catchment area can be viable for surface types such as clay tiles, plastic, or asphalt sheets, but requires prior management, potentially including contouring and surface cover removal. A designated collection tank in the lowest elevation region of the landscape must be made or brought in to match the size and goals of the site, whether for a community garden nearby or for farm water supply supplementation. Extraction devices include bucket, chain, hand, and electrical pumps, along with rope pulley systems, depending on factors including the rate of transfer from the site to its destinations. Here is an image with the general outline of water storage tanks. Each tank is recommended to have darker colored plastic or denser materials to prevent light infiltration and organism and microorganism growth. The inspection port allows for regular assessment of the tank's sanitation levels and storage rates. The floating pickup access point allows for debris to be removed from the tank with ease as well. A vent and overflow valve are vital aspects to maintaining the water for long periods of time and through storm rain events. Emptying out particulate matter and settled sediments is also necessary regular maintaining activity for most storage tanks. These can be used in agricultural, residential, industrial, and cultural settings for numerous similar uses. Complex systems employ multiple levels of filtration for optimal drinking water and cleaning waters. Pressured hoses and piping systems allow for more efficient and energy-saving transfer of water throughout the entire house, tank, and water main or well. This system employs safeguards such as anti-surcharge piping with a U-shaped design to allow excess water to leave the system while preventing groundwater and storm waters from entering the tank. The solenoid valve is an electromechanically operated valve that serves multiple purposes such as shutting off, releasing, dosing, distributing, or mixing fluids, and can be valuable assets to rainwater storage and distribution systems. Groundwater harvesting systems, such as this, involve submerged tanks that require a location with access to significant surface and through-flow waters. These systems must be well planned out before installation as they call for intensive land removal and construction and require significant measures of regular facilities checking for sanitation, filtration, and continued successful working of each aspect of the system. Swales are a crucial aspect in the development of gardens and permaculture projects for the express purpose of allowing better retaining of natural water on sloped landscapes for plant growth. A swale is typically completed by digging out a long straight line of poorly infiltrated grasslands and planting water-intensive crops in the mounds developed immediately below the depressions along the gradient of the landscape. Swales are a useful tool for numerous permaculture sites, but are not necessarily the correct way for many sites to collect and distribute water through their landscapes. Rainwater harvesting can also include water bodies, such as pond gardens for water supply, storage, and ecosystem development. Man-made ponds for permaculture sites such as this allow for further growth of a project with the pond as the focal point at the lowest point of a landscape's gradient. Rain ponds require maintenance and monitoring to preserve water quality after storm rain events and during seasons of drought to maintain water levels for surrounding flora and fauna. Rainwater harvesting, as summarized here, is a simple concept that requires significant planning as well as a main purpose for each level of rainwater collection. Uses of rainwater are growing each day with continued permaculture projects and agricultural practices such as hydroponics. Hydroponics incorporates all of the necessary nutrients for plant growth into the water they receive on a timed basis, allowing for very productive plant growth without direct land inputs, and could potentially become a highly sustainable form of food production on a larger scale in the near future. In conclusion, permaculture and water are closely interrelated topics that both offer much individually, but together can produce incredible techniques and management methods for food production, natural filtration, reduced energy use, and potentially a net positive ecological footprint for members of future generations with continued efforts towards sustainability and conservation of resources. Thank you.